All right, what is up? We are live. So obviously, the big news that broke today is that Stewart-Haas is officially announcing that they are shutting down. This had been in the works for quite some time, at least as far as the rumors go and things like that. Interesting that they would rebrand in the off season and talk about "Don't Doubt Us" and all this other stuff. They've got the new logo and things like that, and they were going to come out this season and prove all the doubters wrong. And then today, we get the statement from them that says, "We have made the difficult decision to close Stewart-Haas Racing at the conclusion of the 2026 season. It is a decision that did not come easily, nor was it made quickly. Racing is a labor intensive, humbling sport. It requires unwavering commitment and vast resources with a 365-day mindset, better than everyone else. To be better than everyone else. It's a part of what makes success so rewarding." So, just before we get any further, I want to talk about these first two. They said they didn't make the decision quickly, but if you look at the timeline, they basically rebranded. Why would you rebrand and say we're going to prove the doubters wrong? It seems like that didn't happen that long ago. Maybe, I don't know. It was the off season, so it couldn't have been that long ago. And then today, you close the doors. So I guess quickly is a relative term, but I don't know why you would rebrand if you're going to shut the doors. So that's an interesting statement. That first sentence, I don't know. I don't know necessarily about that one, but I guess it depends on your definition of the word quickly. The other thing is the labor intensive. It's a humbling sport. Yeah, it's one of the toughest sports on the face of the planet. It'll absolutely wear you out. It's time intensive, labor intensive. You really can't have a life. Just to be totally honest with you. So that part is accurate, and maybe that is a big reason why both of them decided to move on. But let's go continue with the rest of the statement here. But the commitment needed to extract maximum performance while providing sustainability is incredibly demanding, and we've reached a point in our respective personal and business lives where it's time to pass the torch. So there you go. They're just basically they're tired of the grind. We're proud of all the wins and championships we've earned since joining together in 2009, but even more special is the culture we built and the friendships we forged as we committed to a common cause, winning races and collecting trophies. So yeah, there you go. That's also important as well. They were a very successful team. That's why this comes as a shock to a lot of people. A lot of people were going to fight it to the bitter end. They were using the basically what I just talked about, the rebrand, saying they're not going to sell out. And then today came as sort of a big letdown for the people that were still clinging to hope as far as that one goes. That is the same commitment we made to our personnel, our partners, and our fans coming into this year, and that commitment will remain through the season finale at Phoenix. So there you go. They're gonna go out with a bang. They're gonna hopefully go out with a bang here. They're not giving up on the season. They're not just going to be a doormat to be run over. And they have run, to their credit, they've run a lot better this season than they did last year. We have tremendous respect and appreciation for all of our employees, and we will work diligently to assist them during this transition to find new opportunities beyond the 2024 race season. So that's good and that's solid. Hopefully they follow through with all of that to find all of those employees jobs. Yeah, that was the big one. Didn't expect that to come today. And if you saw the thumbnail for this particular live stream here, this is also the day that Harambe went to heaven. So there you go. They decided to announce that they're shutting the doors on the same day that we lost Harambe, 8 years apart exactly. So there you go, 8 years apart from that moment. They decided that they would. It's just weird. It's so weird that they picked that day to do it. To make the announcement, but it throws into question where their drivers are going to go. You got Josh Berry, you got Chase Briscoe, you got Noah Gregson, and you've got Ryan Preece. Now, we'll just start with Chase Briscoe because he seems to be the hot commodity. He seems to have the most sponsors and stuff like that. And the big rumor is that you see all throughout social media, you've seen it for a while, is that he is going to go to the 21 with the Wood brothers and take his sponsors with him. And he's got 26 top tens in his career. He's got one win. He's been into the playoffs before. And in the last two seasons, because we're gonna look at the last two seasons, and you'll see why in a minute. He has 13 top tens, by far better than all of the teammates and possibly the people that he's replacing. So after him, though, it gets more interesting. So it's looking, according to all the rumors, and they are just that, rumors, he is the lead candidate to go to the 21. Some people have mentioned him with RFK. We're going to talk about that when we get to the charters here in just a minute. But now let's look at the rest of this list here, because the other one that's interesting here, are Noah Gregson and Josh Berry, and a lot of people are saying that Front Row Motorsports is going to grab those two up because they're going to buy one of the charters from Stewart-Haas Racing, take over the building, have a 3-car team, which leads credence to the idea that NASCAR is only going to allow you to have 3 charters next season, and then eventually they'll grandfather. Look at Noah Gregson and Josh Berry. If the rumors are true, they'd be going to Front Row Motorsports to join Todd G over there, and then you've got 2 drivers that are sort of left in limbo here, and that would be Harrison Burton and Ryan Preece. And if you look at and Josh Berry and Noah Gregson have 6 top 10s, 6 top 10s for Noah. I want to say 5 top 10s for Berry in this 2-year, same 2-year or since 2023, 2024. So we'll go with that, year and a half, I guess, because this season's far from over. So they have roughly the same stats, and they've run roughly about the same amount of races because neither one of them had a full season last year, and they haven't had a full season this year. So those are good, solid numbers. Then you look at Preece and Burton, who have both had they had a full season last year, and they've had all the races this year. And their numbers, and this is what jumped out at me, their numbers are the exact same. Like everybody talks about Harrison Burton, and he needs to be replaced. He wasn't ready for Cup. Ryan Preece in the exact same time period has the exact same numbers, 3 top 10s. That's it. So neither one of them are looking extremely healthy for whoever is picking up these charters. And it's looking like they're going to be going back down to a different touring series, maybe Xfinity for Harrison Burton. That seems to be the big guess there from everybody. And Ryan Preece, does he want to still do modified stuff, or does he want to stick around the Xfinity series? Does he get a ride there? Does he get a ride in trucks? It's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. And the people that are talking about Briscoe going to the Wood Brothers car, there is precedent there for the Wood Brothers to make the championship. They've made it with Matt DiBenedetto. They made it with Ryan Blaney, and I think Paul Menard was either close or he did make it one year too. So they definitely, when they have certain drivers in place. Now this was with the old car, I should say, but when they have certain drivers in place, they can be a playoff team because that is Penske equipment at the end of the day. But then that calls into question who is going to get these charters. And this from Bob Pockris. Sources indicate Front Row 2311 and track rumors, though I do want to reiterate that. And then the fourth is more unclear. Legacy, RFK, JTG have all indicated interest in expanding, but I do not expect them to be in play for any of the SHR charters, and JRM is not as well. He did go on later to tweet that RCR is in that mix as well. So there you go. A lot to digest, a lot to take in, but it's looking like Trackhouse and 2311 are going to get 2 of the charters. Front Row is going to get 1 of them, and that leaves 1 out in limbo. So obviously Trackhouse, they would put either Shane or Zane in one of those cars. So that's looking like what's going to happen over there. 2311, I would imagine your next guy in line over at Toyota is Corey Heim. So Corey Heim would be the pick there. And then it's between RFK, RCR, Legacy, and JTG Doherty. And you've got a combination like RCR. You would have to think it's going to be Austin Hill, who we'll talk about in just a minute real quick before we jump into the comments as well. And then there's also the outside chance that Cole Custer, maybe he goes over there to one of these rides. Maybe RFK, if they can't get Briscoe, maybe they believe in Cole Custer. Riley Herbst, another Ford guy, he brings money. Is RFK interested in him? And then what if 2311 pulls off the impossible here? What if 2311 brings Kyle Busch back to Toyota? That's a rumor that started all the way back in Texas. Although I have heard he seems like he's going to re-sign with RCR, depending on how that goes. So there's a scenario where maybe Heim ends up at Legacy. So I don't know who Legacy would put in there if they can't get Herbst though. I mean, tons of Toyota drivers. Would that be a Chandler Smith ride over there? No telling as far as that goes. If RFK, I just talked about them, they would probably either go Custer or Briscoe if they can get him, and then JTG Doherty. Your guess is as good as mine as far as that would go. And then of course JTG Doherty, they've been linked with maybe Junior buying into them, so all kinds of stuff. But it gets really speculative, is I guess the point of that for the last charter. The other one is as of right now, as of this, there is no fine, no suspension, no anything for the Austin Hill Cole Custer incident. So a lot of people are up in arms about that. So that's going to be a really interesting thing to take in as well. The most recent one I can remember that would be even close to this would be when Ty Gibbs, under caution, hit Sam Mayer. He did get a $30,000 fine for hitting somebody under caution. Now, this was obviously bigger because he completely wrecked him under caution. So maybe a bigger fine than 30 grand. I think it was 30 grand. I shouldn't say it, but I think 30 grand off the top of my head is what he was fined. So yeah, that's that. So as of yet, no fine, no suspension, no anything. So it's going to be interesting to see how all that plays out. Maybe they release it later in the evening and try to sneak it under the radar because of the big news. Of course, obviously today is going to be SHR. All right, let's jump into the comments and see what y'all want to talk about. I do have a poll question. If you had a race team and had to hire one of these drivers, which driver would you hire? Josh Berry, Chase Briscoe, Noah Gregson, or Ryan Preece? 51% right now saying Gregson. Berry tied at 22%. Ryan Preece, 6%. So there you go, 51 votes so far. Get your vote in, and we'll see where that stands. Thoughts on the pit beef between the 17 and the 11? Well, that was interesting because and why they didn't tell the 11 to move his pit back because it wouldn't have affected anything behind him. The whole thing I think could have been solved if they just told Denny Hamlin, hey, there's nobody behind us, just pit really shallow in our pit and we can avoid all this. But yeah, it looked like whoever, and I want to say, hopefully I'm not naming the wrong driver, but I think the 42 was in front of the 17 and the 42, because the 17 was having the same problem. Actually, he had to back up and go around because the 42 was in front of him. If I have the right car, I want to be fair. I'm not 100% sure it was the 42. What's up, Shy? Good to see you on here, my friend. I knew SHR to Ford. They've had really good years with Ford too, though. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, with Teresa giving up the 8 and Junior softening his it's too expensive stance, the world may be coming around to be perfect. Yeah, and RCR has often said, good point there, Charlotte. RCR has often said that if Dale Jr. wants that 8, they would gladly give him that number 8 back. So that if Junior buys in and if JTG Doherty manages to get that floating around charter that seems to be the last one standing, and Junior buys into that team, and you get a number 8 Chevrolet, where whatever they would rename the team, the 47 and the 8, that would be huge. I think the merchandise alone would cover the first year. Good evening, all. Rest in peace, SHR. For sure. And Baloney's out for Harambe, Camaro 50. On Harvick's podcast, they called out the theory that Fox called off the race. I still have my doubts. So Harvick's podcast on Fox says that Fox didn't call off the race. I mean, I don't know if that's the greatest source, Napa Racing fan, and I agree with you. I have my doubts as well because Fox announces that they did not call off the race. Rest in peace, SHR, says Ryan Gallagher. SHR went from go. I mean, it's so wild. BB, will Ryan Preece get picked up by Trackhouse? I don't think so. OJ and Toothpaste. I think he is going to continue to be a contender on Earth 2. If I had to take a guess there, I'm kind of mad that smoke blew off. I blew smoke up my butt. I feel bad for the employees and drivers. Yeah, so they did mention at the end of that they are going to try to find homes for the drivers. So hopefully that comes true. I mean, homes for the teams, for the people that work on the cars, is what I should say. So hopefully they do find them a bright future for 2025 and beyond. I'd love to see Junior buy everything but the charters. Says Baron Von Weebs. That would be pretty funny. But he's already got a pretty nice race shop where they're at. Seems like 2020 it all started with Clint retiring and not being able to pick up Kyle Larson. Says one wise guy. That's definitely part of it. And then in 2022, Tony Stewart said he needs a new hobby. Remember, I don't know if you guys remember this tweet, but Tony Stewart tweeted out, "I need a new hobby. I need a new hobby. Hopefully something not in the Southeast." Basically saying he was done with NASCAR all the way back then. BB, will Bobby Hill get suspended or a fine? Says OJ and Toothpaste. I don't know. I don't know if old Austin Hill is going to get a fine there. As of right now, it's looking like he's not going to get anything. I think the criticism for Larson racing Indy instead of Charlotte is ridiculous. It's the Indy 500. He won a Coke 600 after missing a race, only 6 back of first. I agree with you. I think the rule itself is stupid. We shouldn't need a waiver because we shouldn't need the rule. I don't want to say too much about that because I did a whole, how long was that video? 13 minutes about why that rule is dumb. The waiver rule is dumb. Waivers have become completely meaningless. There you go. I mean, if they're going to give them out for everything, why even have the rule? That's another solid point I should have made. And somebody in the comments also, I wish I could give credit, but I can't remember who brought it up. But he said NFL players sit out regular season games all the time getting ready for the playoffs. If you have a legitimate playoff system, why should it matter if a driver sits out a couple of races? That's pretty much a fair comment. BB, it's a sad day for NASCAR, says OJ and Toothpaste. It is. It is. That's one of the bigger teams. A lot of people are going to be super bummed. Tony Stewart has a huge following, and it's gonna be a lot of people that just are not going to have the same excitement if they even watch a race. Some people are just such diehard Stewart-Haas Racing fans; they might not watch another race unless they're going to stick with one of the drivers that are already there. Maybe they become a Briscoe, or maybe they just go wherever Briscoe or Barry or whoever they pull for over there. Maybe they go where Noah goes. That's my purse. Seriously though, Hill should be suspended for that. Custer didn't do anything to him. He should at least get a fine. Like, I don't understand why they don't fine him. They fine Ty Gibbs. If you hit somebody under caution, it should always at least be a fine, if not a suspension, like you're saying. Everybody had a bad race, and I like Austin Hill. I'm an RCR man, but rules should be enforced fairly across. Everybody has a bad race throughout, and disclude one per season. Says Baron Von Weebs. I mean, yeah, that's for sure. I don't understand why they even had the rule to begin with, because it seemed like an over somebody was overthinking the whole situation. It's not like anybody is intentionally going to miss a bunch of races, because that would actually hurt you for the playoff run. So I never understood the rule to begin with. King of the Hill returns on Hulu, and hey, there you go. By the way, 2 more seasons, says Napa Racing fan, and that's a bummer too, because old Gribble, man, Gribble, the guy that voices Gribble, Dale Gribble, he left us. That's sad. Oh, Koth is back though. King of the Hill. Gregson, Berry, and Briscoe will be fine. Priest, however, I don't know. Yeah, regardless, says Bruce. Yeah, so what I was just talking about, maybe you follow Front Row, because essentially that's what Stewart-Haas Racing is going to become. Or maybe you pick one of your favorite Stewart-Haas Racing drivers. I'll tell you from my perspective, I was a big Seattle Supersonics fan. And when the team went away, I just pulled for Russell Westbrook was the last draft pick, although I don't think he ever played a game for the Sonics. He was always a Thunder guy. So as soon as those guys and Kevin Durant, as soon as those guys migrated away from the Oklahoma City Thunder, nothing against the Thunder, I just can't pull for them. As I'm an Orlando Magic fan. I made a bet with a guy, and I'm going to stick with the Magic now. But I just pulled for the players wherever they went to. Rashad Lewis was on that Miami Heat team that won a championship, so I was pulling for him. And as a Duke fan, I was pulling for Shane Battier as well. But yeah, so I just pulled for if they had a former just saying, hey, we're too old and we're tired of the nonsense, is what I took away from it. Larson's double being washed by rain sucked, but the 500 and 600 running at the same time was awful, says Napa Racing fan. Yeah, it was definitely not optimal. It was not optimal, suboptimal. One wise guy dropping the merch link. So if you want to visit the merch store, there you go. Much appreciated. We got a Discord too. If somebody wants to drop the Discord link in there. I feel worse for Cole Custer. Good guy, good driver, but he's effed. I don't know. I don't necessarily know that he is, because he's in the good graces of Ford. He is the best option in the Xfinity Series. So I think he can at least at the very least, can get an Xfinity Series ride. He's a pretty good driver. He's got a Cup Series win. He's the last guy to win in the 41, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, let me pull up Cole Custer. Did he put up better? It's a different car, so it's hard to say when he was driving it. But let me pull up Cole Custer. I want to see his last numbers in the Cup Series. He only had 2 or 3 seasons, though. That's trucks. Yeah, so 12 top 10s and 1 win in his time there. So much. I mean, I'm not trying to take shots at Ryan Preece. Ryan Preece is one of the most talented modified drivers I've ever seen in my life. You put that dude in a modified, and it's like, just go ahead. It's sort of like Kyle Busch in a truck. I'll give you the field as long as you give me him. So I think it's just, for whatever reason, he's either been with bad teams, or it's just not translating to the Cup Series, but it's not working out for him. But Cole Custer, by far, I think he's got the numbers to prove that he probably can get a ride at least in the Xfinity Series. BB, maybe give your early prediction on who goes where. The driver's leaving SHR. Yeah, so that's, I mean, pretty much, I think Noah and Barry and Todd G will be at Front Row. Those will be the 3 drivers for Front Row. I think Zane Smith will be the driver at Trackhouse. They'll probably season Shane Van Gisbergen even more. And they'll probably, I think that thing with Colleague is going to be pretty legit. They'll probably put him in the Colleague car, and he's probably going to drive either the majority of the season or the full season for Colleague in the Cup Series, as well as still making for, just to get repetitions. He'll probably still be making starts in the Xfinity Series as well. So I think you'll see I think you'll see quite a bit. If he doesn't run a full season in Cup next season, I think he'll run at least a very heavy Cup schedule next year relative to what he ran this year. So I think that's how that will play out. Somebody's going to pick up Corey Heim. I don't know if it's 2311 or if it's Legacy, but he's going to be the next guy for Toyota. So he's definitely going to be in one of those cars. So that's what I think is going to happen there. And then I mean, there's just too much smoke around the 21. So I feel like Chase Briscoe's either going there, or if RFK gets the extra charter, he's going to RFK. And Cole Custer, let's say RCR picks up, and somebody told me this. I think it was B. But if let's say RCR moves Austin Hill up, then you can slide Cole Custer over there in a Chevrolet because he no longer is under contract with Ford. I would imagine with Stewart-Haas closing down. So all kinds of things can happen in the Xfinity series with this fallout here. So it's just I don't know. That last charter, I have no idea. I have no idea what's going to happen with that last charter. Let's see. Barry in the 4, stay as Ford and not Chevy though, says Bruce Reed. I think you're good with Josh Berry. I think he's going to be at front row, and I think Noah is going to stay in the same building and go to front row as well. That would be my guess. I feel like both of those guys have a lot of sponsor money behind them. Chase Briscoe obviously has a ton of sponsor money behind him as well. SHR Xfinity is gone too. Yeah, SHR shuttering the doors. So Riley Herbst, I'm pretty sure Riley Herbst will land on his feet and get him a ride somewhere too. Uh, LOL King of the Hill. I swear there are no new ideas, says Kevin S. Love the show though. Yeah, I'm with you. Can somebody please invent a new show and not give up on it after one season? I mean, look at how popular The Boys on Netflix is. The Boys, although it's in the superhero genre, it's a completely different deal. Stuff you hadn't seen. Now it's based on a comic book. Don't get me wrong, but it is at least a new spin on the superhero genre, and it's actually entertaining. Whereas the Marvel movies have fizzled out for various reasons, which I'm not going to get into because we're talking about racing. BB, what about Denny Hamlin and 2311? If they get a charter, they'll get Corey Heim. Corey Heim, I feel like pretty strongly, unless they can somehow get Kyle Busch away from RCR. But I don't know. Didn't Johnny Sauter get suspended for dumping Austin Hill under yellow 1 year in trucks? Yeah, and he got a waiver for it too. So the full circle on that one. Yeah, Johnny Sauter definitely got in trouble for that and was suspended. So there you go. That's precedent in the truck series. So there you go. You can look at it either way. That's what I'm saying. NASCAR, they're just so inconsistent on everything. JTG Earnhardt Racing. I think you would put Earnhardt first. So it'd be Earnhardt, JTG, probably DEI, Daughtry Earnhardt Incorporated. Teresa still owns the DEI stuff, so that would not happen. And Dale Earnhardt has said if he owns something, he wants his name to go on the front of it, which makes sense from a licensing, trying to get sponsors perspective too. So whatever it is, it's going to be Earnhardt, Darty, Smith Racing, or whatever. EDS. That used to be on the back of Ricky Rudd's car when he drove the number 5 Tide Lumina EDS. So that's the most random. It was just a little small sticker. I think it was maybe a grocery store or something. I'm not going to look that up because that's not Google's not going to help me on that one. But if you remember what the EDS sponsor was on the back of the Tide number 5 for the Rooster, go ahead and let me know in the comment section. I'll get to it eventually. Cody Ledger, I like that, says Shaw. Leah Pruitt is the new hobby. Well, they're having a kid, so maybe starting a family is the new hobby there, Tip. For sure. Drinking a cold one for SHR, says Bumblebee, for sure. Chris Rice said before, said for the people in the SHR shop, call them on DBC. And there you go. This is a perfect situation for Colleague. If they can bring in, because Stewart-Haas Racing has a lot of really good talent over there. If you can bring in a good majority of the Stewart-Haas Racing people that made those cars fast, that is a huge jump and a huge improvement for the Colleague gang over there. So that's a good point. I'm glad I didn't get a chance to listen to that before I jumped on here today. So I'm glad you got a chance to listen to it. Appreciate you sharing that with me. How is everyone? Great point right there. How is everyone doing? I like where Chris Rice is going with that. He's always trying to improve and get better. And shout out to his dad, Alan Rice. I know his dad. His dad, Alan Rice, is a really freaking fun guy. We always talk about what he's watching on Netflix every time I see him. We watch pretty similar stuff. BB, what's the drivers right now? Need to step it up and get the wheels rolling. Kyle Busch has got to stop with the DNFs. Like that's the thing that's held him back most this season, and they got to clean it up in the pits. I would say him because he's had a lot more speed than where he's at in the points right now. I would say the 17. The 17 has got to. He's in the similar situation. He's had a lot of speed, and he should be way higher in the points than where he's at. So I would say the 17 has got to stop with just all the mistakes. Just got to clean up the mistakes. The 99 should be way higher. He's got the win. He's locked into the playoffs. The 99's got to clean up a lot of stuff too. So I would say probably them. I would have added if Christopher Bell didn't win this previous race. The uh, the humidity shortened. I was corrected in the comments, by the way, and I appreciate it because this is actually the first humidity stoppage for a race. He won a humidity shortened race, but Christopher Bell, I would have added him too. But now he's got the win, so hopefully they got it turned around. But he's had a lot of DNFs as well. Blaney and his team better wake up. The train is leaving the station. Said David Nyhoff. I don't know. I don't know that he's necessarily having a terrible season though. I want to say. Let me take a look here at the NASCAR points. I want to say he's pretty high up there in points though, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-mm-mm. Where are the standings? The standings are right there. Oh no, he's done slipped to 12th in points. So good call. I didn't know he was. I didn't know he was running quite that bad here recently, but he has had a couple of DNFs. So to your point, yeah, Brad Keselowski's passed him. Brad Keselowski's now the highest Ford. Ryan Blaney the second highest Ford. And to my point, Chris Buescher below Ryan Blaney in 15th. He should be way higher in points with the speed he's had this season. Same thing with Kyle Busch. Joey Logano's starting to turn his season around, so I can't. I don't want to pick on him. He just got the All Star win. Josh Berry's starting to turn his season around. Austin Cindric, still he's hovering around 20th place. They need to clean some stuff up over there. Noah Gregson's got to stop with the DNFs. Noah Gregson's another one that's had a really good season, but he's had a lot of DNFs, and then he had the points penalty as well. While I'm a Kyle Busch fan, I don't think he is a hot commodity. He once was like Kevin Harvick. He has had to adapt to the. He has not adapted to the new car well. I don't know if it's even that. I think it's just people's expectations for Kyle Busch are just so astronomical compared to reality. I mean, he's 12th in points, and people are acting like he's having the worst season of all time. And really, the reason he's 12th in points is honestly a lot of DNFs. So there you go. He's had a lot of speed, other than the short tracks where they've struggled there. And new idea for DEI: get the one from Trackhouse, the 8 from Childress. May have to run a modified one font, but I bet Trackhouse would give them that number up with a 4 and a 10 available, says Cody Ledger. Yeah, I just don't think you're going to be able to swing the DEI thing without Teresa Earnhardt suing the crap out of you. And Richard Childress and Teresa Earnhardt, I think, still have a pretty good relationship. So I don't think he would. I don't think he would do that either. But yeah, I mean, that would be another thing that a lot of people aren't thinking about. If Dale Jr. wants to hook up with RCR, God, how big would that be? Like he just becomes like an extra RCR car, but they call it, Earnhardt Racing, but it's really just, another deal out of RCR. He would bring in so much funding that stuff. The money over there would increase significantly. I think it would be a win-win for everybody over there. And maybe he gets an extra charter with Colleague, and maybe they make it happen like that. Like the Colleague just becomes another in-house. I mean, JTG, I'm sorry, not Colleague, gets the deal with JTG, and they sort of do what Colleague's doing, and then it would be essentially close to a 6-car operation over there for RCR as far as where the equipment's going. Obviously, Colleague prepares their cars, and JTG, Earnhardt, whatever that would be called, would prepare their cars as well. But I think overall money to do R&D would improve greatly. Every race team has to evaluate its financial health once in a while, and has been said. Haas suspending proved me wrong. What happened? The number all percent king says Ramirez. I don't know. I'm not sure. Gateway is the best flat track. Not sure St. Louis. Even if Fox says so, close in Madison feels like a false advertisement. Says Napa Racing fan. I mean, yeah, it's. I think it's listed in Illinois. So yeah, like you said, I don't know why they call it St. Louis. BB, what about the Corey LaJoy versus Jimmy Johnson beef? I I don't know. I haven't heard anything else about it other because that was a couple races ago. So I haven't heard much about it since then. So are the rumors that SHR is folding true? All I've seen is speculation. Damon, yeah, they released a statement not too long ago. Let me. Where do I have it here? Yeah, so that was announced today. I'll pop it down here in the chat for you. There you go. You can read it at your leisure. It is a Reddit site, so I apologize for that. Let's see. FRM buys a charter. Barry Gilliland Gregson starting Xfinity with Herbst, Custer, or AM runs the second car and puts Herbst in it. I mean, anything's possible. I think for sure FRM gets Barry and Gregson and Gilliland. I think that's for sure. I don't know about I don't know if they're going to do an Xfinity Series team or not, but they've already got the Truck Series team, so that could be another place where some of these guys end up. If the track was in St. Louis, the Cup race would be the wouldn't be the Enjoy Illinois 300. I feel like Harvick retiring put the nail in the coffin for SHR. Well, not only that, but they just had so many sponsors leave. Eric Almirola, like somebody posted a thing. Eric Almirola leaves DEI, they fold. Eric Almirola leaves RPM at the time. RPM folds and becomes Legacy, and then there was just a list of places that when Eric Almirola leaves, the place folds up and has to either rename or whatever. What up, BB? I'm late. What's up, T-Van? Good to have you on here. Not a good deal for NASCAR to lose SHR. That was one of the big three money teams. Sport needs more big money teams. Gene Haas doesn't come around every day, says E. Damon. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a bummer. It's going to be a long time for people to get adjusted to not seeing those cars on the track anymore. I agree with you. Humidity shortened my butt, says Bumblebee. What's up, Nathan? With SHR shutting down, Xfinity is about to lack competitive Fords outside of Ryan Sieg, says Chrome Diesel. I think that somebody will make a push. Either RFK will bring back their program, or Front Row Motorsports will just run the program that's already there at Stewart-Haas. Laughing my butt off. Yes, that's the first time I've seen humidity as a factor. NASCAR just keeps screwing it up. Win and you're in is stupid. 47 last year, 99 this year are prime examples, says Tip Jackson. I really hope limiting teams to 3 charters doesn't happen. I mean, I'm not necessarily against a playoff. This current playoff, I'm definitely against it. So I'm not going to get on that tirade. So you guys know where I stand on this current playoff system. I really hope limiting teams to 3 charters doesn't happen, at least yet. If that's the case, Bob Bowman, JGR in the 19 with Martin Truex Jr. near retirement would be easier. 48 with a full season. Ally, though, not really, says Napa Racing fan. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know who they would cut there. It's going to be interesting. Things can change so much in a few years. A few years ago, Stewart-Haas Racing was one of the best teams in the Cup Series. Now Stewart-Haas Racing is folding, so you never know. If it was 2 years ago, William Byron could have been in the conversation of the driver you get rid of at Hendrick. Now William Byron is looking like one of the best drivers over there at Hendrick. So give it 5 years and things can change a lot, is all I'm saying as far as that goes. Sad seeing SHR go out, but I understand not wanting to put up with NASCAR BS, says T-Van. I think that was a big part of it. What happened to the humid weather tires, says Shaw. During the Xfinity race at Charlotte, that's for short tracks. I don't know that they're ever going to get the brass set to try it, even though they have teased it. During the Xfinity race at Charlotte, Austin Hill hit Cole Custer and said that he door slammed him. Then he cut down a tire, which led him but the tire wasn't flat. Says, you don't like Austin Hill or you're not. That's all I can say about that. But a lot of people wear T-shirts that are screaming that Austin Hill's a dirty driver. God knows you would have really hated to see the former driver in that 3 car before Austin Dillon. If you don't like Austin Hill, especially in his prime when he was younger. Kyle literally won 3 races last year, says Bumblebee. Thank you. I get wear out with the RCR equipment is bad stuff. They've had bad luck this year with DNFs, and they've had some unfortunate pit work, but the car has not necessarily not had speed other than the short tracks, which they're clearly working on. You saw evidence of that in Wilkesboro. Sawyer said, we don't want fans, teams, drivers, and track workers out at 2 a.m. For the rest of the 600. I would have watched at 2 a.m. And the reason I say you can tell they were working at it is that Austin Dillon didn't take the softer tires, so they obviously wanted more R&D and research on the harder tire because once he decided he wasn't going to have a chance to win the transfer spot, they went into full practice mode for their short track package, which I thought was brilliant. I loved it. Allegedly, that's just me guessing. Sawyer said, we don't want fans, teams, drivers, and track workers out at 2 a.m. for the rest of the 600. I would have watched at 2 a.m. I called it a day because it had been so much racing going on that day. I went to sleep. But yeah, for sure. Like if I knew for sure that they were going to restart it, I just had a feeling that it was not going to get restarted, so I went to sleep. But yeah, if I had a good feeling they were going to restart it, I would have stayed up and watched it too. And I can tell you that all the fans going home, from everything I read on Twitter, everybody was mad. Twitter for once was unified. Everybody was mad that NASCAR didn't restart it, other than me, who was sound asleep. Do you think Junior gets two? Says Nathan. No matter who Junior partners with for Cup teams, will go good. Or actually, I went to sleep right after they called it. Maybe one or the other. Either way, I wasn't sweating it. Do you think Junior gets two? I have no idea. I have no idea if Junior is gonna buy one. To be honest with you, no matter who Junior partners with for the Cup team, they will do good. Says PC Gone Rogue. I agree. If he partners, we should definitely emphasize that. He's only said that he's interested. He hasn't said that he's going to. What up, Bumblebee and everyone? What's up, T Van? BB, what's going on with Zane Smith? He needs to start running better. And that team, says OJ and Toothpaste. I have no clue. He just has not had a good season. Uh, Currently, I want to say, where is Hocevar? I think Hocevar, yeah, 24th in points is their best driver. 30th is Corey LaJoy, and then Zane Smith is the worst driver of everybody that has started every single race. He is 35th in points. Kaz Grala, who is going to miss this start coming up as well, with only 12 races, is actually in front of Zane Smith in the Rick Ware Racing Ford Dark Horse Mustang. So yeah, Zane Smith has had a really, really bad season. He's had 3 DNFs. He has not led a lap, and he has no top tens, no top fives, no. I don't know that he has any stage points either. They're not showing that stat here. Let's see. Uh-oh, lost my place. Here we go. There we go. Did you see they made slight changes to the Roval, slightly longer straights in the infield, and a front chicane moved closer to the pits? Hopefully it pays off with some good action on the track. I like the Roval because it actually you can actually see the whole thing. So I'm thinking about possibly going this year. Iowa also got a strip repaved like Pocono on the bottom. Race won't be what we want it to be, says Cody. If you can get a race in, especially a crown jewel, get it. Don't just call it quits before it's late. I mean, that's a good point. BB, like Glock said in the Discord, you got to drive Indy like you're going to die. I feel like Larson wasn't aggressive enough, but I really hope he gets another chance next year, and then he will be Gucci, says OJ and Toothpaste. I think he was just getting used to everything. I mean, he missed a shift. I mean, he's just there's no way he was all the way comfortable in that car. I think next year he's a lot more comfortable, and you'll see him do some more aggressive things. I think Stewart ever calls another NASCAR race in the booth. I have no idea. I have no idea. It's getting ready to storm here again in Indiana. Imagine that, says Steve Van. BB, did you like Danica Patrick during the Indy pre-race? Did she bring her keys to victory analysis to the table? I don't watch any pre-race stuff anymore. I'm over it. I don't like Danica Patrick. I think she's a trash human being, so I don't like anything she has to say ever. St. Louis is on both sides of the river, like KC is on both sides of the Missouri, aka East St. Louis, Illinois. KB fan here, but for him to make the playoffs, he will definitely have to win a race. He won't make it on points for sure, says Ronald Russell. Who do you think will get the SHR car numbers? Oh, no clue. I have no idea what anybody will run as far as that goes. I have no idea what front row will run. If they'll run like 38, 39, what is it? 36. They've got 30, 34, 36, and 35. Maybe they grab the 4 because at least they've got a 34. Then they have a 34, a 4, and a 38. Maybe that's how they do the deal over there. I don't know. Do you think they'll keep the number 4 in the 14 running after this year? I hope so, says one wise guy. I have no idea what numbers that they'll want to use or anything like that. So we'll see. We'll see. I haven't even thought really about that. We need to join Drunken Moonhead campaign for race fans versus BBs. Says Chrome Diesel. Humidity, rabble, says Say Kyle. What do you think the cheapest race for BJ McLeod to run without a sponsor? Martinsville. Probably Martinsville. I knew it was going to be called The Moment They Stopped It, says Charlotte. Yeah, I had a pretty good feeling too. NASCAR needs to buy a farmer's almanac. If they're not getting bad weather, they're getting no weather. That's true. If you need rain, make sure you have a race in the area that week. NASCAR needs to buy a farmer's almanac. They're not getting bad. I just read that one. Rudy Fugle said over the radio like 20 minutes before the rain that if they got the weather, they wouldn't restart. Dude knew the future, says I say Kyle for sure. And the 24 with the pass in the turf, adding to the legend of fast slick Willie B. SHR leaving could make room for Dale Jr. just to start his own team, and not like he doesn't have the money, says Lovey. He acts like he doesn't have the money though, or he doesn't want to spend it. So that's been his holdup. Lovey has Junior has the money because he has someone counting the beans for him. Also runs those decisions through Kelly. Kelly is the one who counts the beans for him as well. What did Bell's win do to the standings? Denny Hamlin has the points lead. Martin Truex Jr. is second, and they are separated by 5 points. Kyle Larson is now 6 points away in third place, so he's only 6 points behind him. So it's only about a 21. I don't want to say about a 21-point swing there. Chase Elliott, 17 points, is in fourth, and William Byron, minus 31, is in fifth place. BB is the Royal, the best Roval, the best road course in NASCAR. I don't know what the best road course in NASCAR would be. I haven't been to any of them, so I can't really give an educated comment. As far as action on the track goes, though, it'll always be Riverside because Dale Earnhardt cut like half the course, not half the course, but a good section of the course for a pass in the dirt, an actual pass in the dirt back in the day that I saw. I think it was before I was born, but I definitely saw it on YouTube, and I was like, man, that was so BA. Let's see. Keselowski said he's 30 million short. Kelly commented us too, so Dale Jr. isn't getting in the mix. He might buy into a Chevy team, but he won't start up anything. Anyone else mad that IndyCar started racing on less ovals as the safety improved? I don't know. I'm sure there are some that are upset. Fox gave us false advertising. It was the Coke 373, not the 600. Yeah, there you go. If you were a 600 buyer, try to get your refund for that. Good luck. Did you catch Moody's take on Larson getting a waiver? I don't listen to Dave Moody. He's too rude to the fans. So no, I have not caught his take. Haas supposedly got 60 million to finish last year in F1. That makes the choice between F1 and NASCAR easy. Hey, so there you go. Maybe they are the one team making money in F1. BB, how did John Hunter Nemechek do in the triple this past weekend? He didn't. I don't think he had enough time to get the deal done at Charlotte, but I think he would have finished it for sure. He would have finished it for sure. For sure. Yes, the new pass in the grass is not a pass in the grass since it was turf, not grass, says Charlotte. Considering the money Junior threw up with how much he made, it's actually really impressive how frugal and smart his sister is with his money. I'll just go ahead and throw that in there. It's really smart how smart his sister is with the money. Let's see. I think Dale Jr. would have had a team years ago, but Kelly makes that decision, of course. Without Kelly, Dale Jr. would be broke by now, says Shy. Thank you. Good point. 100% agree with that. And I don't know him at all, so I'm sorry that I'm talking about your money, but it's apparently a hot topic because of charters. Not that he watches the show, but if somebody clips him and clips it and is like, he's talking about your money, well, this is why we're talking about charters. Let's see. Brickyard says, hey, what's up, Brickyard? What if Tony keeps the charter and the teams up with Junior? He could be a silent partner. I mean, anything could happen. Anything could happen. In that particular situation, I would think though that Tony would have kept in the sale. Tony would have kept one of the charters. So maybe that's why they're only talking about 3 charters out there. I don't know. I'm thinking Ross could win this weekend, says one wise guy. The Coke 600 kilometers, says Charlotte. If NASCAR went with my idea of the Coke 1000, they wouldn't have made it halfway, and we would have got the full race in. Just saying. Hey, I'm with you, my friend. Charlotte Ander laughing my butt off, says Shaw. If I was ever to go to a road course, it would be Watkins Glen. Watkins Glen's on my list for sure, just because I used to love racing it on the PS2. I like Sonoma. Well, as far as that goes, I like Sonoma because you've got that big blind, like you've got all that elevation and a lot of that stuff's blind. Any chance Cole Custer's dad and Ford start a team, says Brickyard? I have no clue what anybody's going to do. I'm just reporting the rumors that I've heard so far. So no clue. The only thing I feel super confident about is that front row is going to take Josh Berry and Noah Gregson. Front row, Gilliland, Custer, and Berry. 2311, Bubba Reddick and Denny. Wood Brothers, Briscoe, RCR, KFB, and Gregson, says Red X Raider. I think Denny Hamlin just re-signed a contract with Gibbs, so I don't know. I have to go back and check. So that might be the only thing throwing a wrench into those plans. Coke 600 on Prime next year, says an Appalachian fan. Indy 500 might be on Fox next year. Fans love to spend Dale Jr.'s money more than Dale does, says Charlotte. I wouldn't be shocked if Dale Jr. was actually Chrome Diesel or One Wise Guy on a burner account. I don't know. He probably on some of the short track stuff, he probably would have had a lot to say, at least back in the day, especially during Bobby McCarty gate. So if he was one of those burner accounts, I think I would have heard something when I called Bobby McCarty the Dirty Mo Boogeyman. Because he's only scary in their dreams, because he wasn't, in my opinion, driving any rougher than Josh Berry was driving in the Cars Tour at that time. But they made a whole show about how Bobby McCarty was, in Mike Davis's words, quote unquote, a bully. And I thought that was such bullshit at the time. But it is what it is. One Wise Guy, the carousel. Yeah, the carousel's fun too. What up, guys? I love Dale Jr. I love what he's doing with the Cars Tour. But very, very different opinions there. But then again, I wasn't part of that team. So if you're part of that team, maybe that's how you did feel. What up, guys? I am heartbroken to hear of the SHR news, says Douglas Serrano. For sure. There's a lot of people that are super bummed out about it. I saw somewhere that juniors put up an announcement where up there pretty quick, says Nathan Campbell. I don't doubt it. If I was junior, I would do the same thing. Because look, he has got to get that question literally at least 100 or more times a day. So I have no doubt that he probably put something up there. BB, and I say that because I get that question at least 20 or 30 times every day. What's Junior going to do? Is he going to buy a charter? BB, what's better, Chick-fil-A versus KFC? I'm going Chick-fil-A as far as that goes, OJ and toothpaste, because KFC took away the zinger. If KFC hadn't took away the zinger and the chicken dippers, man, they would at least where I'm at, they would at least have a fighting chance there. But Chick-fil-A is better. Nah, Dale Jr. ain't driving big trucks like I'm actually driving, says Chrome Diesel. Larson deserves credit for running Indy instead of Charlotte, showing off his skills in the greatest spectacle in all of racing, says Napa Racing fan. Dale doesn't even pull his own camper. I'm surprised he drives at all, says Charlotte. I was glad when Mike Davis left. Dude doesn't know how to ask a question or shut up for an answer. He's sort of like he's the Burt Kreischer of the NASCAR podcast world. Always cutting somebody off. Needs to give a 5-paragraph essay of unnecessary context to the question he asked. Absolutely awful, says Say Kyle. But he is good at he's organized that whole podcast thing over there, so he is good at the organizational side of it. So shout out to him for, he probably recognized that and said, you know what, I'm gonna step back and do what I'm good at, and I'm gonna let them do what they're good at. Junior needs to buy an Indy. I don't have anything against Mike Davis. I just thought his opinion on that was bullshit because he didn't even know Bobby McCarty. He was just spouting off stuff. And it made for good TV. It got me to make a video about him, so he did his job. Junior needs to buy into the IndyCar team and shock the crap out of everyone. Hamlin signed a multi-year contract in 2023, says One Wise Guy. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It's a multi-year contract, so I think that Hamlin to 2311 would be held up by that at the very least. This year's Indy 500 run will have him more prepared for next year. He was legit running 6th or 8th before speeding, says Napa Racing fan. Yeah, I'm with you on that 100%. Junior is into glamping, not NASCAR. Yeah, I wish you could have seen when they did the racetrack revival in Wilkesboro. I wish you could have seen the damn area over there where he had his big old motorhome, and he just had this big. He had like God, I want to say maybe a 1/8 or a 1/10 of the back straightaway sectioned off for him. It's basically the Dale Jr. party zone. Like he he does things a little bit different than everybody else in the short track, or at least at that time, everybody else in the short track world. But you know what? If I had it like that, I'm not going to say I would do anything any differently. And he's super cool. Like from all the people that I talked to over there, he was inviting people left and right just to come over there and, hang out with them and chill with them. So it was after the deal went down, after the race or whatever, it was a big party. This was the original racetrack revival, not the all-star weekends and stuff like that. The OG when the place was basically still falling apart and looked like a zombie racetrack, but they just decided to have a race there. it was just such a cool vibe. So I really, really glad that they did that, and it was just such an interesting scene. One of the most interesting scenes. I wish I could find my old footage of that because I've been trying to make a video about it. I've lost the SD cards that I had. Unfortunately, I did get the one video up though of the junior highlights. BB, what's the worst job you ever had? Says OJ and toothpaste. YouTuber. I don't know. Say Kyle, I felt the same way, but I find myself longing for Mike's return. Every day, somebody calls me an idiot in the comments, and the monetary split is not what you would like it to be. That's the reason I say that. The rest of you guys who aren't calling me idiots in the comments every single day, much appreciated. You make it worth it. You're the reason I stick around. Let's see. I felt the same way, but I find myself longing for Mike's return, given his replacements. Says Charlotte, somebody's got to be the bad guy. It's no fun. It's no fun without a bad guy. Imagine all the people that hated Ric Flair back in the day. Imagine if Ric Flair wasn't there. The sport of wrestling, sports entertainment, wrestling would have been so boring. Same thing with Kyle Busch. Take Kyle Busch away, the sport's very boring. You took Dale Earnhardt away too soon. You took away everybody's nemesis, everybody's villain. At Daytona, the sport was boring for a very long time until we got Kyle Busch. I saw something where somewhere Nick Jr. is going to make an announcement. Junior is going to make an announcement, says Nathan Campbell. Look for Corey Heim at 2311. Yeah, without a doubt, Corey Heim's coming up sooner rather than later. You guys racing anytime soon? Says one wise guy. There's word on the street that we might be at Hickory this weekend. I can neither confirm nor deny that. Hell with that checkbook. I'd be into glamping too. Says say Kyle. Yeah, for sure. My favorite way to camp is to buy a hotel. We need a racetrack revival for Rockingham. Getting close. Rockingham's in way better shape. I don't think it needs to be revived. It's ready to go right now. Really, I still want Castro Neves in a Cup car. Yep, they need to make right on that. Hopefully, is it Dan or Don? And Mr. Hawk needs to make that right at some point. Back in the day, NASCAR and IndyCar had some crossover points paying racers. Yeah, for sure. 32 for 2311. Says Nathan. Today I learned apparently Ric Flair was a bad guy. All I know is he liked to yell woo, and that's about it. Oh, he was 100% the bad guy. Ric Flair was always the bad guy. At no point in Ric Flair's career was he ever the good guy. It was a lose-lose situation for Larson due to rain. Either way, he was going to miss. He was going to miss a race. Says Napa Racing fan. Yeah, that's for sure. You can't control Mother Nature, and it's one of those. It is what it is. You know what I mean? So it's one of those deals. But yeah, I mean that looks like the short and long of it. Hang around here for a minute or two more if you guys want to jump in here with anything else. But it looks like we've reached the end of the chat. So I'll stick around for a little bit, see if you guys want to talk about anything Earth 2 or just anything that interests you, because I think we've exhausted these topics. But yeah, probably the most surprising thing out of all of this is when I looked at Ryan Preece's numbers the last 2 years, and I looked at Harrison Burton's numbers the last 2 years, and they got the same amount of top tens. I was like, holy crap! Like it is what it is. It's one of those deals where it's perspective again, right? It was a lose-lose situation for Larson to the round. Yeah, I just read that one. Say Kyle, I don't get it though. For someone who doesn't like to spend money. He sold a bus that he already owned for a newish Silverado and a fifth wheel, says Charlotte. Yeah, he said he wanted to downsize, but then he got a fifth wheel. So I don't know. It does from this I will say this: the fifth wheel makes a lot more sense than an RV, because if an RV breaks down, you're screwed. If your truck breaks down, you can get your truck repaired, and you can get a buddy to haul your fifth wheel and stuff like that. You're not nearly in the same predicament, I guess I should say. So I am a big fan of fifth wheels versus RVs. RVs, I think, are a money pit. And if you own an RV, I don't think I'm insulting you. I think you already probably know that. Maybe that was the net positive. Bus value is greater than his new setup. Oh yeah, RVs are definitely way more expensive than a fifth wheel too. I guess it's good Kelly is in his camp then. LOL. So say, oh yeah, for sure, for sure. He never knew. He said it on his podcast. He never even knew how much money he had until he just accidentally saw like his bank account slip because his sister controls all the money or whatever, and he was like, "Holy crap!" So there you go. Interesting situation over there. I would like to see the Indy cars return to Pocono with the aero screen, says Douglas Serrano. I don't know enough about the Indy cars to even know what you're talking about, Douglas. So I apologize. Do you know if Cars Tour will host a North Wilkesboro race? after the rain canceled it. Somebody, Chrome Diesel, somebody, I forget who the driver was, but it's somebody that races in the cars tour. It said it's going to be at the end of the year. So look for that to be at the end of the year, either October or November, somewhere in there. Priest's most memorable, and I hadn't heard anything either until that person said that. So they leaked out that information that it's going to be in either October or I think it's going to be in October. Priest's most memorable SHR moment was his flip at Daytona last August. Unfortunately, when he said either that when in the Cup Series, yeah. But I think he had a great story when he was with JGR when he paid to race just those few races. I think that was a good story, and that's what got him into Cup. But then it never, for whatever reason, he's either with a bad team or the talent is just not translating. It doesn't have the right crew chief to understand his feedback. Something's not clicking in the Cup Series, unfortunately. I do think he's a good driver, though. When he said downsize, he meant Adams. BB, what do you think happens with Harrison Burton? Are we losing our bi-weekly solo spin scheduled caution in Cup? We're losing a Harrison Burton, but we're gaining a John Hunter Nemechek. So probably going to be about a fair trade-off. You think Kyle is still trophy hunting now with SHR shutting down? It's hard to say. I feel like they've got something going on, but then again, they've oversold stuff too. But the time that they oversold something, they had something lined up and it got pulled out from under them. So I do think that if they can get enough good talent from Stewart-Haas Racing, they'll significantly improve because they're not missing much over there. They're just missing a little bit. Nice to think about the truck and the fifth wheel as you park the fifth wheel, then go touring in the truck, says Shy. There you go, for sure. Chris Rice sounds really enthusiastic, says one wise guy. Yeah, I think he's super pumped up. RVs cost about as much as a house, if not more, in certain situations. I learned yesterday that if you go to a campground and see upside down pineapples, we're not getting into that, T-Van. We're not getting into that. But you're right. That is a correct symbol. So there you go. 84 going full time, says Nathan. I saw some videos today and hate how people trashed the IMS infield houseboat. I'll probably go houseboat because then I could get like a $200 like scooter to move around the city or whatever that I'm in. And scooters are pretty easy, or a what do they call those things? What's the liquor sickle? What do they call them things? A moped. I could get something like that to cruise around the city. If the city was far enough away, I might be within walking distance of everything I would need. So yeah, that would be and the insurance on that would be nothing. So like, yeah, that would probably be the better move. An RV, I don't know. I feel like that would be a lot more maintenance than a boathouse. The boathouse, you got to take it out of the water and get the bottoms cleaned and resurfaced and all that good stuff from time to time. But as long as you just live in the boathouse, you don't actually have to drive it anywhere, right? So the engine could just rot. Like who really cares as long as you're not actually going to drive it? You can get a buddy to tow you if you really needed to go somewhere. So I feel like the boathouse would be the move there for sure. That, and you would always be near the beach or at least a body of water. The company that makes and services the leveling system for most of the domestic RVs is local to me, and you would be shocked about what people you trust, says Charlotte. Believe it or not, in the racing world, I deal with a lot of these, and the RV has got to be the most cheaply built vehicle I've ever seen in my entire life. And how they charge as much money as they charge for them is beyond me. And if you break down the components individually, especially these leveling devices, you could build a leveling device yourself if you know a little bit about electronics and save yourself about $2,000. And we'll leave it at that because I got a buddy that thought about it. Would you ever entertain the thought of running the 500 on Sunday and the 600 on Monday? Oh, heck yeah. That would make that would be the greatest. I mean, it would have to be a rain situation. I would never plan it that way, but that would be pretty awesome. Briscoe to the Wood Brothers says Z200. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's probably going to be what happens. That seems to be all the rumors out here, unless they just announced it and I missed it. Let's see. You think Butterbean will go full time in trucks next year? I have no idea. He's probably going to have to find some money if he wants to do that, but he's definitely got the talent. I think if you look at the top 10 in the Cars Tour, I would say that probably all of those guys have enough talent to go racing at the next level. Colleague messed up by letting Haley go to Rick Ware Racing and demoting Dinger to Xfinity. They did mess up, but I don't think financially they had much of an option. Everybody's acting like they did it on purpose. I think that they were just trying to pay the bills. So they're trying to keep the doors open. So from that perspective, I understand it. T-Van, oh yeah, all kinds of stuff like that in the villages in Florida. Also, bath loofahs are color coded for preferences, says Say Kyle. BB, you should do a live stream from the ISS in space, says OJ and Toothpaste. Man, knowing my luck, if I ever went to space, that would be the time that the thing blows up again. I would be like the what's that thing that went to visit the Titanic, Odyssey or whatever that thing was called. I would that knowing my luck, that would be how that ends. Laughing my butt off. Sorry, I didn't know that. Says T-Van. Yeah, certain stuff. I do try to keep it somewhat family friendly. Although we are at 9 o'clock, so the children should be in bed unless you feel like parenting your way and not my way, which is totally reasonable because I'm not a parent. Rolling on the floor, laughing my butt off. I want to see BB on a moped. Says Shaw. I look like a gorilla. Look like a Donkey Kong in Mario Kart on one of them things. The scooter though. I feel like give me a Vespa and a houseboat, and I'd be a happy dude. People donate RVs to me and rent them out and use them as tiny homes, saving $40K each. Says Barry. Now, if you can get a used one, that's where it's at. That's where it's at. Because then, especially if you're even remotely handy, because they're not made of anything, so repairing them is not really the biggest deal in the world. I've seen people completely gut them. I've got one that I'm completely gutting for something else. I'm probably just going to get rid of it because I've gotten bored with the project. But yeah, Crocs and all says, yes, there you go. I'd have the Vespa, the houseboat, and you got to have the Crocs. Little known fact, Crocs were originally invented as a boat shoe, so they float in the water. So Crocs on a houseboat are a must. Harrison Burton is on the list of drivers I forget are on the track every week with Cindric Dillon and Zane Smith. You said whatever we want to talk about, says T-Van, within reason. YouTube has rules, and I have to abide by the YouTube rules. Unfortunately, if we were on a different platform, on a different service, I would definitely and this wasn't a family friendly channel, I would definitely entertain your ideas. I'm not scared to talk about it. I just don't want to get demonetized. I like that the guy that bought land next to Rive dug out a channel with his houseboat on land, then backfield. Turns out you don't need zoning permits for a boat, says Charlotte. Hey, look at that. That's pretty cool. That's what you call a life hack. Cindric is the male version of Danica, clearly not cutting the mustard, but just will never go away, says Say Kyle. Yeah, except Austin Cindric is not a subhuman person. So there you go. He has he's just not a vile human being. Charlotte Ander, that's brilliant, says Shah. Drivers aside, where do you truly believe the charters will land, and what do you think take over the shops? I think front row. I think front row is just going to take over everything, and I think that, like I said, they're going to pick up Josh Berry and Noah Gregson, and then Chase Briscoe is probably going over there to the Wood Brothers. Just green screen it and make it look like you're in space. Says Chrome Diesel. I mean, yeah, we've got the green screen right there, so I guess I technically could do that. Tip for all the people that like to do green screen stuff: don't actually buy a green screen curtain. They're really annoying to work with. They make just green. It's basically just green, a big roll of green construction paper. Just get that and stick it on the wall. It's a flat surface. It's much easier to work with because you see the wrinkles over there. You got to get that completely flat. So it's just easier to work with green paper. So there's your pro tip. I'm not really a pro, but there's your tip for doing green screen work. BB, it was cool to see Trump show up and watch the race, says OJ and Toothpaste. Half the country were mad about it. Half the country's happy about it. That's the Donald Trump effect. So I'm not messing with that because I've seen enough of it on Twitter. He triggers people like nobody else I've ever seen. And once again, I'd like to talk about this with politics. There's not a single politician that I'm like, man, that guy's awesome. Because I grew up in an era where politicians, you just don't trust any of them. So I don't get this. I don't get this hero worship all of a sudden. Like Obama got hero worship. George W. Bush before him was hero worshipped. I never got the hero worship of politicians. But it's such a weird. They've become sort of like rock stars. It's such a weird I feel like I'm living in an alternate reality from how I grew up, where we all hated politicians no matter what side of the aisle they were on. Now all of a sudden, these politicians are beloved. It's like pulling for a sports team. If you don't pull for my politician, you suck. It's so weird. It's just so weird how the world has turned. Uh, and is it just me, or is Zane Smith attracted to crashes because every time there's an incident, he literally drives towards it? I don't know, man. I don't know. He's definitely had a lot of DNFs. Dinger winning at the good comment, Lovey. Dinger winning at the Roval for 5 straight years is wild. Dude gets the job done, man. He's one of the best drivers out there. Doesn't get talked about enough, unfortunately. I'm a big AJ Allmendinger fan. I think the dude can absolutely wheel. And even when he finishes in the top 5, he can sound like the most miserable human being on the face of the planet. Like, he is so disappointed if he does anything other than win. And I absolutely love that about him. I watched the 2 races at once on Sunday. He says, yeah, I think a lot of people were flipping. The old RV trailer I purchased years ago is now a chicken coop, says Chrome. My dude is a Vespa guy. That is the most legit thing I've heard about Mr. Baloney say, says Charlotte. I appreciate it. The old Vespas are hard to beat, man. It's just a classic look to it. And if you grew up playing Mario Kart, man, you got to have a small place in your heart for scooters and scooter racing. And just the Vespas, they're just, I don't know. There's a classic look to a Vespa that's just, I don't know. Bold prediction is the first year in the second Daytona date is postponed due to a hurricane with its late August date. That's probably a legitimate question. I don't know where they would move it. How wild would it be if they moved it to the last race of the season and that decided the champion? Sadly, Burton has become a guaranteed caution every race, says Napa Racing fan, and it always seems to be a single car spin. It's so weird. RCR will get the number 10 SHR car, says Z200. I mean, that would be pretty cool because then Austin Hill would move up, and then who do you move over there with Jesse Love? Is that a move that you would put a Cole Custer, a Riley Herbst, or somebody over there with him? Is the ISS going to be hovering over Earth 1 or Earth 2? Probably over both, I would say. Just on Earth 2, it would be the SSI. So Earth 2, it's the SSI. Earth 1, ISS. I like Cindric, quality human being right there, says one wise guy. Yeah. Austin Cindric seems like a really chill dude. Can SHR win one more race before they fold? It'd be nice. He's friends with it was so crazy. I saw it at Wilkesboro the second year that I went. He was talking to Jared Fryer, and I was like, I didn't know Jared Fryer knew him. I was like, that's pretty cool. And then I went back to working on the car before I got yelled at. Can SHR win one more race before they fold? It'd be nice to see them win one more. Jared Fryer is one that nobody ever talks about. Jared Fryer deserves a ride at the next level. Like, probably Bobby McCarty and Jared Fryer are the guys that I always scratch my head about. And I'm like, man, how come they never got a shot at the next level? Jared Fryer won he won the Cars Tour championship in super late models, and he also won a Cars Tour championship in regular late model. I think until whichever Voppel is in the late model right now, I did it. I think he was the only one to do it until he did it. Carson, I did it. I think Carson was the next one to do it. Wouldn't compare Cindric to Danica as a person, just as a race car driver with a blank check, keeping the ride secure. Yeah, I got you. It's all good, my friend. People will hardcore follow a national politician, but have no idea their local representatives, senators are. It's kind of funny, actually. Yeah, it's so insane, man. It's so insane. It just shows you how effective mainstream media is at promoting certain things. And this isn't anything new. If you look up, there's a guy named Edward Bernays. Now we're off into the weeds. If you look up a guy named Edward Bernays, he's called the father of propaganda. And if you ever remember back in the day, a hearty breakfast, you got to start your day off with a hearty breakfast. It's the most important meal of the day. There is zero research for that. It was all propaganda from Edward Bernays to help out the dairy farmers and pork farmers. I want to say it was just a deal to help farmers, because actually before that, most people just grabbed a piece of toast and a juice and a coffee or something like that. But then breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You got to start your day off with a healthy breakfast. And it was either to help sell bacon or something like that, or either eggs or milk. I can't remember which one it was, but that's 100% where that came from. Also, another fun fact about Bernays: you remember the stuffed crust pizza? That was to help out dairy farmers because they were trying to figure out ways to sell more dairy product to help out those farmers, and that's actually where the stuffed crust pizza came from. So yeah, the mainstream media they're super good at pushing stuff. So just be very careful. Be very careful of what you consume with your eyeballs when watching TV, and it's trickled down into YouTube too. There's tons of YouTubers that do the same thing. A hurricane postponing Daytona is inevitable. It'll definitely happen one year. Are you thrilled to see Charles Leclerc win Monaco? I was stoked. I couldn't have been more happy. I was wearing the Ferrari shirt that day. Burton is developing Cody Ware syndrome. He's crashing without hitting stuff. Says Lovey. Cody Ware, speaking of which, he'll be in the race this weekend in the number 15. Kaz Grala will not be there. And oh, doggone. Kraus will be in the 16 this weekend. Let's see. BB, should Joe Biden join the Fox booth? I mean, turnabout's fair play. Like, if one candidate goes, you would think the other candidate would try to go to try to get some votes. So we'll have to see if that happens or not. Budweiser a Bass Pro for JRM Cup team, says Chris. And let's veer away from politics because we're not there's a million YouTube channels you can go to for that. Budweiser a Bass Pro for JRM Cup team. Oh, that's a hard call. Anheuser-Busch seems to be happy promoting Busch, so I would say Bass Pro Shop's going to the JRM team. That would be my guess, and probably Sundrop as well. Vespa scooters are all over Europe, says PC Gone Rogue. They are for sure, and we need to make a bigger push to have them in places other than Miami and Los Angeles because I feel like that's the only two places. Fort Lauderdale. Those are the only three places in the United States that I can say I've ever seen more that come from. There's a Vespa scooter club over there, so yeah. So that's probably where I've seen the most of them in the United States. But they're really cool. Look, if you ever get a chance, they're just the way it's a really cool design. If that makes any sense. Monaco Parade wasn't a good race. Always hard to pass there, but just one pass for the whole 78 laps. Come on, cars are too big for the track. It is, but I don't know. It's just it's one of those things. I know what I'm getting, but I like to watch it every year. What happened to picture in picture on TVs? Douglas Serrano. I've still got it with. I've got Sling, so I can do picture in picture with Sling. What was Sigmund Freud's nephew or something? Yeah, he was. Oh, good point, say Kyle. He was Sigmund Freud's nephew. So yeah, some of you have heard of Edward Bernays. He also got women to smoke in public for the first time for camera to popularize women smoking back in the 30s and 40s. 100% right on that one as well. BB, have you ever had my stew? I've not had. I don't think I've ever had my stew, at least to my knowledge. I've never had mountain oysters. And whatever. I've never went snipe hunting or anything else either. He was also working with the banana company in Panama that dubbed the term Banana Republic. Yeah, so he created. He's a pretty interesting character. I shouldn't laugh at this stuff because it's really serious stuff. But yeah, he overthrew a government to sell bananas. Basically, I forget who it was. It's not. It's not named that company anymore, but it's a company that's still around. By convincing people the president was against the banana company, wild stuff. Yeah, he was, and he did it because the reason he justified it, he thought he was doing the right thing. He was doing good, so that's how he justified it. I've got a couple of books by him. I'm in the process of reading one of them. That's why I guess he was fresh on my mind. But seriously, current F1 car is just too big to race at Monaco. I don't disagree, but I'm going to watch Monaco every single year. I don't think they'll ever get rid of it as a track. Good to see that what they need to do with Monaco is just get rid of track limits. There don't need to be any track limits at Monaco. If they can pass somewhere, let them pass. Because Max Verstappen showed you can pass on that track, but then he got hit with track limits the year that Daniel Ricciardo won. I want to say like maybe 2018, 2017, 2019, somewhere in there. I'm terrible with years. Good to see Leclerc win his home race, though, finally. Yeah, and what was interesting, they showed that there's like 6 or 7, maybe 5 to 7 current drivers that live at Monaco. So there were several guys that could have posted the home track victory. Monaco becoming like the Martin Truex Jr. Everything's somebody's home track. OJ and toothpaste. Why are you eating Mickey Boyle? Says Lovey Barkley. With them pushing Bush with Ross and Trackhouse, I wouldn't be shocked if AB used activation from Budweiser with Junior and had 2 teams sponsored if Junior came to Cup. I think if you had the right driver or if you had the right activations with Dale Jr., yeah, for sure. Because that would be just from a complete marketing and funny we're talking about propaganda, but from a perspective, Bud Light, and we're not going to get into their decision making. We're not going to talk about it at all. But Bud Light, if you did a Bud Light car with the Budweiser car, like if you just did an alternate, that would probably help the Bud Light deal a little bit over there. So that would be something they could think about for sure, because then you would have the Bush car, and then you would alternate between Bud and Bud Light over there on whatever Junior had going. Super hypothetical. Obviously, we're just spitballing here and having some fun. We haven't heard anything on whether or not Junior is buying a charter. If you're joining us late, we literally saw 3 cars DNF because someone tried to pass at Monaco. Says Lovey. That's pretty much a fair statement. Alonso had the GOAT strategy to get Daddy's cash point until Stroll put himself in the wall, says Cody Ledger. BB, what about chicken tartare? Chicken tartare, a delicious dish if you're not scared of Sal and Ella. Universal Fruit Company was the name at the time. That's right. And they became, did they become Chiquita? I think they became Chiquita. Oh, what was it called? What did they hold on, I'm gonna look it up. It's going to annoy me. United Brands. They later became United Brands, which later became Chiquita Bananas. I was right. It did eventually become Chiquita Bananas. So there you go. The Universal Fruit Company became United Brands, then it became Chiquita Bananas. So Chiquita Bananas overthrew a government. So there you go. There's your fun fact for the day. I told you hour two. Hour two we get into some nonsense, and this is the first time we've had an hour two in a while. So enjoying it and having a good time. Y'all keep them coming. Was the tire test today? They did have a tire test today. I want to say I just don't know. And they had some rain during the tire test. I can't call where it was at. I think it was at Iowa, but I'm not 100% sure. Bud 8 throwback. That would be pretty rad, even if it's just in the Xfinity series. It rained at Iowa. I believe they did become Chiquita, but not 100% on that. So yeah, we did. I did check it. According to Wikipedia, which is never wrong, they did become Chiquita Banana. That's a historical fact. So I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure Wikipedia got that right. Sorry, I'm late. But what are your thoughts on Larson missing the 600? Did he choose Indy or NASCAR? Yeah, he chose to run the 500, and I think that was the smart decision with everything involved, especially since you're going to do it next year. Get as much seat time as you can in the car this year, and then go for a stronger performance next year. Even though his performance this year I felt like was pretty strong, he did get rookie of the race. So which is not just who finishes the first. There's a vote as to who had the best race, who brought the most to the table, and stuff like that. So and there's always controversy over who gets rookie of the race as far as that goes. Yeah, I think he chose the 500 over that, and he made every attempt he could to get back to the Coke 600. Didn't work out for him, but like I said in the video, and I'm not going to get into it again because I made a whole video. But yeah, the rule itself is ridiculous. It doesn't benefit any of the drivers or the teams to miss races. So missing a race is going to self penalize itself. So it is what it is. If it wasn't for the playoff system, it wouldn't even be a need for a rule like that. Rain following Larson again at the Iowa tire test. Poor Larson, says Napa Racing fan. Yeah. It's it's always raining over top of Larson. It appears like. I bet it'll rain at Gateway too. Rasmussen was robbed on Rookie of the Year, by the way, says Cody Ledger. I mean, I don't know. I'm not getting into it. I just know every year it's a controversy, no matter who gets it. I really thought the 500 would get rained out. And I'll just be totally honest with you. I'm not an IndyCar person, so I really don't care. I don't care if he won it or not. I don't think it's anything that Kyle Larson's going to like put on his mantle. I don't think that's anything that he really cares about. So from that perspective, probably Rasmussen, it probably would have been better to go to him anyway. I really thought the 500 would get rained out and Larson would do Charlotte on Sunday and Indy on Monday, but everything got foobarred, says Kyle. Yeah, unfortunately, I hate to say it like this, but unfortunately, the Indy 500 didn't get rained out, and we got what we got. But we got a great Indy 500 race. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see the natural finish of the Coke 600, but I think that's probably the worst thing. It was building up to be such an intense finish to the Coke 600 that I hate that we didn't get to see the rest of it. Chiquita boats have bad spiders coming into the port of LA. Tore me up, says one wise guy. Yeah, that's the craziest thing about ports, man. There's never no telling as to what you'll catch. I know those guys have to get all kinds of. It's sort of like if you're flying to a different country, you got to look at what they've got over there, and then sometimes you got to get whatever. You got to get prepared to do whatever over there, take certain medicines and shots and stuff like that, because they have different stuff that we don't have in the United States and stuff like that, because we've already eliminated some of those diseases or whatever. As an Algar fan, I'm glad that, and we're definitely not going to talk about that freaking topic either. As an Algar fan, I'm glad that we're in such a PC era right now. Everything's controversial. Is an Algar fan, I'm glad that Larson picked the Indy 500. I'll tell you what, Need for Speed, the greatest thing about that, and I'm a big Justin Allgaier fan, we finally got to see in the Cup Series Justin Allgaier. Now, I know he drove for Penske. He had like a little run with Penske, but we finally got to see Justin Allgaier in elite Cup level equipment with some experience, with him being a fully mature driver. And I think he showed what he could do, especially when he was staying on the lead lap. Then once he was able to stay on the lead lap, he worked that car up to 13th place. So it really, for all the Justin Allgaier fans that wanted to see him racing Cup, you finally got a little taste of what that would look like if he had a proper top level race car with some experience finally. Because obviously, when he was a rookie, he was a rookie. We've had 4 to 5 events with rain problems this year. NASCAR needs to get with the program so we can race in monsoons like F1 and IMSA. I mean, we can, but even over there, they have issues where if it's a heavy enough rain, they won't race in it either. Let's see, 500 and 600 at the same time was a headache, not fun at all. Yeah, it was pretty not fun flipping back and forth. I was impressed with Allgaier. Hope he gets a second chance in Cup due to his performance in the 5. There you go. I mean, maybe add him to the list of somebody that could fill in one of those charters if they're available. What's up, Glenn Park? I don't think he'll do it though, because I think he's said numerous times he enjoys his Sunday with his family now. We can do multiple class race just one time with 4 series. Yes, I'm including ARCA for more carnage. Well, ARCA would be plenty of carnage, especially with the closing rates. I was satisfied after. The only problem with that, you won't see it because at some tracks the Xfinity cars are going to be way faster. I was satisfied after waiting 7 years for him to get a good opportunity. Says Need for Speed. For sure, I think a lot of people were stoked about that. I remember Allgaier and Annette and Cup as back markers for 8 Scott. Allgaier had a great career in the 7 car for JRM. What do you think changed for Ford with that first win? What do you think it was? According to all the reports and stuff, they said they found some horsepower or something like that. Maybe that's it, or maybe Joey Logano. Yeah, Joey Logano found something at the tire test. Who knows? Really hard to say. They're not going to come out and talk about it, right? But the big rumor is they found some horsepower or something like that. I'm with all the cars on track for All Star race at the Roval. Says Say Kyle, that would certainly be interesting. I would throw the trucks in there too. Bottom tier teams should only do tire tests. Unfair advantage giving practice to top tier teams. As with Logano's case at North Wilkesboro, practicing 800 laps. Says Barron. Yeah, I mean that's a fair statement you can make. Like as it stands right now, NASCAR does a random pick or they have a rotation, and then the manufacturers get to pick one team too. So I think what NASCAR should put in place is like if Ford picks Penske for one race, they have to pick RFK for the next practice, not race, but the next practice, and so on and so forth. Ford actually has to go through all of theirs before they can repeat another team. I think that is another fair way to do it as well. But yeah, for sure, not the greatest. They just need to bring back practices for all teams. Period. But that's just my 2 cents. What happened to picture in picture on TVs? Says Douglas Serrano. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure they got rid of it for commercial reasons. I can't give you the full rundown on it off the top of my head. I do want to say I watched a YouTube video on it, but I think I zoned out and started looking at my phone halfway through it. Logano 800 laps was absolute BS. Says say Kyle, when is ARCA going to a figure 8 track? Well, here's my deal with Joey Logano's 800 laps. Nobody said they couldn't do it, so kudos to them for doing it. You took advantage of an opportunity that hasn't been outlawed yet. So kudos to them for thinking outside of the box. But yes, it BS on NASCAR for basically letting them do an R&D test instead of an actual tire test. 100% on that. And the other teams don't get an actual test. But to their credit, the other teams haven't tried this yet, and they said we'd rather ask for forgiveness than permission, and that is the ask for forgiveness, never ask for permission. When is ARCA going to be a figure eight? From certain people, Mexico is definitely on the list. Let's see. Douglas, is it because I know a track official and not a track official, but a basically like a tech guy. And from what I'm hearing from him, Mexico is definitely possibly on the list. And not necessarily confirmed, but it's definitely being hard to go to both of those. So that's where that information is coming from. Douglas, it was said on one of my TV and one on my phone says Seika Logano won at Wilkesboro, was sliced bread again, then went to Charlotte, and they were toast again in 2024. Do you like the Portland race, and who do you think wins? I mean, anytime you go to a track that normally they don't go to, yeah, I do like it. I have no idea who wins. I don't get to watch enough of the Xfinity series to weigh in on that, or the Truck series for that matter. I laugh my butt off Napa. What about an open test? Let all teams have one day to go, and it's their choice. Would be a good reason to use up the $1 million in unused tires, like Denny was talking about. Exactly. Yeah, they've already got the tires. Let them go use them. So give them 1 or 2 test days. Like they did it really good back in the day where you only had 3 or 4 test days. I thought that was pretty fair. LOL, say Kyle. They're going international for sure. They told everyone to get their passports in order if they didn't have one a year or two ago. There you go. Money on the head right there. They told them to make sure you definitely had them for this year. My uncle had to renew his passport for good year. So there you go. There you go. You guys have at least one of the same sources that I've got. So there you go. Chris Rice is on DBC today. Said Montreal and Mexico are in the bidding war over the race next year. Said Montreal is still in it. There you go. And that's the one I'm leaning toward. I think Montreal is going to be where we end up going. SVG for Portland says redemption for Coda. Yeah, I mean it's hard to bet against him. It's hard to bet against him at a road course. I think it's going to be him and AJ Allmendinger again, though. Why not do Canada and Mexico? Maybe with Chicago not being on the schedule next year, because it's only a 3-year deal. So maybe with Chicago, 15% for Chase Briscoe, who is the most Sundays. So get ready for St. Louis or Illinois, whatever you want to call it. I know that was a controversy. So until then,